What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today it is the Lazy Days channel and we're back at it again with some more history reaction for you guys today, and we have Napoleon's Great Blunder, Spain 1808 by Extra History TV. If you haven't already, please head over to his page and check out his content. We really enjoy it over on this channel. I'm really enjoying the Napoleon series. Jack's really enjoying it. We enjoyed the last episode.
Taking down Russia.
Yeah, taking down Russia, Battle of Finland. It was very intense.
I really don't like the French, but Napoleon's really, like, the history of Napoleon is really getting me to, like...
Yeah, I've got to give him a little bit.
Like, I've got to give him a bit of credit, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. So if you're enjoying our content, then please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, but we're just going to jump straight into this one.
Let's do
subscribe.
In the autumn of 1807, French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte dominated Europe. He had humbled Austria and Prussia and sealed an alliance with Russia. Of the major powers, only Britain still defied him.
Come on!
Safe from invasion, thanks to its powerful navy.
Undefeated, come on.
Napoleon had ordered all territory controlled by France or its allies to stop trading with Britain. The so-called Continental System, or blockade, designed to wreck Britain's economy and force its government to make peace. But neutral Portugal had continued to trade with its historic ally Britain. So Napoleon sent an army under General Junot to occupy the country and force it into line. The invasion was supported by France's ally, Spain, though privately, Napoleon held Spain's rulers in contempt. The Bourbon royal family was decadent and corrupt. The king and crown prince loathed each other, while the country was effectively run by Chief Minister Manuel Godoy, the Queen's lover.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
Spain, Napoleon concluded, was backwards, militarily weak and incompetently governed. And he devised a plan to seize control of the country.
Okay, understandable.
I see that,
Yeah. Spaniards, after a long agony, your nation was perishing. I have seen your pain and I am bringing you a remedy. Procrastinate.
It just sounds like a lyric. I'm bringing you a remedy.
Yeah, I'm bringing you a remedy by Emperor Napoleon.
In the spring of 1808, under the pretext of guarding Spain against the British, French troops took up strategic positions around the country.
Okay.
The Spanish people saw the French military presence as the latest in a long line of humiliations, and held Chief Minister Manuel Godoy responsible. There were riots at the palace of Aranjuez. Godoy was nearly lynched. Napoleon invited the Spanish royal family and Godoy to take refuge in the French city of Bayonne, and sent Marshal Murat and 50,000 troops to restore order in Madrid.
Well then.
Okay.
But on the 2nd of May 1808, the people of Madrid rose up against Murat's soldiers. It became known as the Dos de Mayo uprising, immortalized by the artist Francisco Goya. This scene shows Mamelukes of Napoleon's Imperial Guard attacked by the citizens of Madrid. 100 soldiers were killed. The French responded ruthlessly, shooting down dozens in the streets and executing more than 100 by firing squad.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Meanwhile, in Bayonne, Napoleon forced King Carlos to abdicate and bestowed the title King of Spain on his own brother, Joseph.
Yeah, this is...
Oh, it's just not going to end well, is it?
No, it's not. Who is the enemy of your happiness? Napoleon, Emperor of the French? What is Napoleon's origins? From evil, Spanish... I can't say that, can you, Jack?
I'm not going to attempt it.
No, I tried. Sorry, guys.
It's the thought that counts.
That summer, as Napoleon forced a new modernizing constitution on Spain, and his brother Joseph entered Madrid as its new king, the Spanish reacted with fury. The French weren't just arrogant foreigners trampling on their national honor. They were godless atheists who, during the French Revolution, had rejected the Pope and Catholic Church. Napoleon, priests warned the peasants, was the very Antichrist himself.
Can you imagine that? That is like... I don't even know if there's propaganda or not for times back then.
Yeah, it's got to be propaganda, isn't it?
It's the sweet face of Napoleon looking up at him and he's just...
During the French Revolution, had rejected the Pope and Catholic Church. Napoleon, priests warned the peasants, was the very Antichrist himself.
It's just the face of him already.
Revolts erupted across the country. The Spanish army was joined by militias and partisans who attacked French troops and killed collaborators. French soldiers carried out savage reprisals. No mercy was shown. The countless atrocities horrified Francisco Goya and led to his...
Yeah, it's just obviously firing squads and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's firing squads and then there's bayonets use.
Yeah.
Are they just piling them up and then just...
Yeah, that one's just like on a stockade.
Yeah, that one's a firing squad. That one looks like they're just piling them up and just... Yeah. Jesus.
Famous Disasters of War series. At first, it seemed the French would easily put down the revolt. Girona, Valencia, and Zaragoza were besieged by French troops, while the Spanish army of Galicia was routed by Marshal Bessières at the Battle of Medina del Rio Seco. But 8 days later, as General Dupont and 3 French divisions withdrew from Córdoba, slowed down by wagons piled high with loot, they were surrounded at Bailén by General Castaños' army of Andalusia and forced to surrender. The Spanish took 18,000 French prisoners, about half of whom later died of starvation. Bailén was a humiliation for France, her first major defeat since Napoleon became emperor. France's enemies across Europe were delighted. Napoleon was incandescent with fury. The situation went from bad to worse. The Portuguese joined the revolt, while fierce Spanish resistance forced the French to abandon the sieges of Valencia, Girona, and Zaragoza. Spain's new king, Joseph Bonaparte, was even forced to flee the capital. The British assisted the revolt, which the Spanish now called...
What do you really expect when you try and, like, advocate your brother as the new king of a country? What do you really expect?
I mean, you were walking in there and just saying, we are now the owners of the place.
Yeah, like, it's not going to go well.
No.
Spain's new king, Joseph Bonaparte, was even forced to flee the capital. The British assisted the revolt, which the Spanish now called a War of Independence, by shipping weapons to Spain using the Royal Navy. On the 1st of August, a small British army commanded by Sir Arthur Wellesley landed in Portugal to aid their revolt. On the 17th of August, he beat a small French force at Rolissa. Then, 4 days later, beat Junot's main army at the Battle of Vimero.
Go on, son!
But Wellesley's newly arrived superior, Sir Hugh Dalrymple, then agreed to repatriate Junot and his army to France, with all their arms and plunder, using British ships. In Britain, the generous terms were seen as a disgrace and scandal. A subsequent inquiry exonerated Wellesley, the future Duke of Wellington, but Dalrymple never held command again.
Oh dear.
Oh dear indeed. Everywhere I am absent, Everywhere I am absent, they commit nothing but follies. Napoleon's response to the news of Belen.
Napoleon decided the only way to sort out the situation in Spain was to go there himself. He assembled 130,000 reinforcements, including many of his best troops, and on the 7th of November led a second invasion of Spain. Most Spanish troops were inexperienced, were often badly equipped and led, and their armies had no coherent strategy. They were no match for the Grande Armée, which burst across the Ebro River and inflicted heavy defeats on the Spanish at Burgos and Tudela.
Well, give it to Napoleon.
I was literally just thinking the same thing. I was like, look, it's all going tits up, and then the moment he comes down with his like corps in his Grande Armée, he's just like, I'm just going to sort this stuff out.
Yeah,
like,
he's going to do it himself, and he does.
130,000
other guys, and he's just like, right, let's just sort this out now.
You guys are useless. I'll get this done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Grande Armée, which burst across the Ebro River and inflicted heavy defeats on the Spanish at Burgos and Tudela. At Tudela, Marshal Lannes' Third Corps avenged the defeat at Bailen by smashing the army of General Castaños, sending it fleeing in two directions.
650 French casualties and 4,000.
No, 45,000.
That's 4,000.
Oh, sorry, it is 4,000. Yeah. That's like being just terrible.
That's all good. If it was 44,000, that would have been what it was.
Pushed on rapidly. North of Madrid, 8,000 Spanish held the mountain pass at Somosierra. Napoleon, impatient to break through to the capital, ordered forward the Polish Light Horse of the Guard. In an attack of almost suicidal bravery, they charged the Spanish guns head-on and enabled the French to take the pass.
Oh
wow.
Suicide missions.
4 days later, after Napoleon threatened to obliterate the city, Madrid opened its gates to his army.
Oh!
So the thing with it is, I read a comment today, and obviously the thing with it is I kind of understand it. Like the when you siege a place, like the reason why it gets ransacked afterwards is because you didn't give it up.
Yeah.
If you give it up, then we're not going to do anything. But if you make us wait months and months and months,
and we have to fight for it, we're just going to pillage.
We're just going to pillage and we're going to eat because we've had to, and it's not right.
But it's understandable.
Especially in war, like you got to understand these things. And obviously, when we make comments, sometimes we're just not thinking fully, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you're in an army, like you understand these are the sort of things you got to do.
What you got to do in them times.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's just insane.
Unaware of the disaster engulfing Spanish forces, a 20,000-strong British army, commanded by Sir John Moore, had just arrived in Salamanca after a 300-mile march from Lisbon, with another smaller force en route from Coruña. The British army was inexperienced, but in contrast to most Spanish forces, it was well trained, organised and led.
Okay, we have something going for us at least.
As news reached Moore of the Spanish collapse, he nevertheless planned to divert French forces by attacking Marshal Soult's isolated Second Corps and threatening Napoleon's communications to Burgos and France. At Sagun on the 21st of December, the British 15th Hussars advanced overnight through winter frost and made a dawn attack on a French cavalry brigade, routing it in one great charge.
Brave. You gotta give him
but as Moore prepared a full-scale attack on Soult's corps, he received news that Napoleon was advancing rapidly towards him with his main army from Madrid.
I would be slightly concerned at that point.
Yeah, I'd be concerned at that point. I am pursuing the English, sword to their kidney. Napoleon, the 2nd of January, 1808. Sword to their kidneys.
While two French corps under Marshal Lannes began a second bloody siege of Zaragoza, Napoleon saw a chance to get to grips with the British at last. Intending to trap Moore between his own forces and Soult's Second Corps, he force-marched his troops over the icy Guadarrama Pass in the midst of a blizzard.
Wow.
Moore, facing odds of more than 2 to 1, immediately ordered a retreat, planning to march 250 miles to the coast, where his army could be evacuated by the Royal Navy. For both sides, the race to the sea was an exhausting slog through mountains, mud, and bitter cold.
This is intense. Did we get caught?
Many fell by the wayside as British discipline collapsed, leading to looting and drunkenness, except among the rear guard, which fought several...
The drunkenness doesn't surprise me.
No, the drunkenness doesn't surprise me.
By the wayside as British discipline collapsed, leading to looting and drunkenness.
I just realised that man there is walking in snow with no shoes on.
Yeah.
He has lost all his toes.
He's lost both his feet, mate.
Yeah.
Except among the rear guard, which fought several skillful delaying actions and kept the French at bay.
Okay.
Soldiers of Britain's elite 95th Rifles were prominent in these skirmishes.
Go on, boys.
This specialised light infantry regiment wore green uniforms for better concealment and were one of the few units on any side armed with rifles.
Okay.
Unlike the standard smoothbore musket, rifles had spiral grooves in the barrel that spun the bullet as it was fired, making them slower to load, but much more accurate.
Ah.
In one legendary incident during Moore's retreat at Cacabelos, Rifleman Tom Plunkett picked out and shot dead a French general at 400 yards, some say further.
That's impressive with that type of weapon.
Yeah.
That's insane.
There's no logistics or anything, it's literally just picking it up, mounting it and going with the wind.
Wow.
Well done.
Wow. Well done indeed.
Thanks to the skill of the rear guard and the desperate pace of the retreat, the British kept one step ahead of the French. On New Year's Eve, Napoleon received grave news from Paris. Rumours of plots, and Austria mobilizing once more for war. The Emperor immediately left for France, taking many of his best troops with him, and entrusted Marshal Soult and Second Corps with finishing off the British. The pursuit continued, but on the 11th of January 1809, Moore's ragged army reached Corunna. For Sir John Moore's exhausted army, the Spanish port meant supplies, rest, and the prospect of rescue. But few ships were there to meet them on the 11th. Fortunately, the British had been able to blow up bridges behind them to delay Marshal Soult's advance. And 3 days later, on the 14th of January, the naval transports arrived, allowing Moore to begin embarking his cavalry and artillery.
Good play blowing up the bridges.
But the very next day, Soult's army appeared on the hills south of Corunna, taking up positions on the heights of Peñasquedo, where he sighted his main battery of cannon. Half of Moore's army deployed in a defensive line 2 miles south of the city, with 2 divisions held back to protect his right flank. Both armies were roughly 16,000 strong. The French had 4 regiments of dragoons, while the British cavalry was already aboard ship. But the broken terrain of walls, hedges and olive trees made it a battlefield ill-suited to cavalry. Soult's plan was to attack the British right flank and trap Moore's army against the sea. Around 2 p.m, the French artillery opened fire. Then Mermet's infantry division advanced, supported by Lahoussaye's dragoons on his left. Moore had been unsure if Soult would attack, and had just ordered Paget's division to begin embarkation. Now he hurriedly cancelled that order, ordering Paget instead to bring up his men to reinforce his open flank, and Fraser's division to take up position on the heights of Santa Margarita. The French advanced through hedges and over walls, with heavy firing from skirmishers on both sides. Then the British counterattacked. The 42nd Highlanders and 50th Foot charged into the village of Elvina and drove the French out.
Yeah.
But in confused fighting, they in turn were soon pushed back to their own lines. Sir John Moore was close to the front line, observing developments, urging on officers and men. But as he ordered up the Guards Brigade to reinforce the line, he was hit in the shoulder by a cannonball. He remained conscious, but it was obvious the wound was fatal, and he was carried.
Man got shot in the arm.
No, the shoulder.
In the shoulder?
By a cannonball.
Cannonball.
So I'm just imagining that cannonball's there.
Yeah, because this whole thing's gone.
That's completely ripped that off.
Yeah, that's completely ripped that off.
And that's probably taken inside parts with you.
Yeah. How was the man conscious?
Shock.
Yeah, it must
be
the
amount of
adrenaline. Yeah, it's the adrenaline. That's insane.
Oh my.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of someone taking...
Do you know what, right? I think I'd be much more afraid of a cannon being shot at me than an RPG.
Yeah, it's just like a ball, isn't it?
I know what happens with the RPG, it's just an explode. The cannon, it's a ball.
It's a ball. Yeah. Now you mention it, I've never thought of that. I think you're right.
I think, yeah, because imagine if you turn around, you hear the cannon, and then it's just there, and you're going back with it.
Yeah.
What would you reckon, RPG or cannonball?
If we're just being stupid, let us know.
Back to the city. Soult sent forward Merle's division to support the attack on Elvina. Scottish General Sir John Hope had taken over command of the British Army from the dying Moore, and he ordered forward 2 battalions of infantry to meet the French attack.
I wonder how long he was still alive for.
Paget's division, led by skirmishers
I'm not too sure, but they said they retreated him straight back to the city.
The city, and he took over where he was dying. So I wonder if it took, maybe
he was
10...
dying instantly.
It's not instantly dead, though.
No, but he was dying.
Yeah.
So dying means you could be dying for a while. Do you get what I'm saying? Someone with cancer is dying.
Yeah,
that could be a year.
But with that
the
type of
moment
injury,
he lost it, he was dying because he was going to die.
Yeah. But
so
how
he took
long
over.
was he holding on for?
I don't know.
The cannon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was long.
It couldn't have been long. No.
Probably back to the city, maybe. That's a long distance to the city.
Yeah, it might have gone a long way.
Yeah, maybe.
Dying Moore, and he ordered forward 2 battalions of infantry to meet the French attack. Paget's division, led by skirmishers of the 95th Rifles, arrived to shore up the British right flank. The terrain was so bad for horses that French dragoons chose to dismount and fight on foot, but were slowly pushed back by the British. Paget's advance threatened the flank of Mermet's attack on Elvina, and he too was...
going to get away?
I mean, most of us are already on board the ships anyway. I'm surprised that they haven't started firing.
Oh, I don't know.
Forced to withdraw. While an attack on the right by Delaborde's infantry secured a foothold in the village of Piedra Longa, but got bogged down in heavy skirmishing. Around 6 p.m, dusk fell, and firing died out across the battlefield. News that the British line had held reached Moore shortly before he died in Coruña, around 8 p.m.
He lasted a while.
That night, the British lit campfires and posted sentries, then silently withdrew to Coruña to begin embarkation.
Well done, boys.
Yeah.
The next morning, the French found the enemy positions abandoned, but they were slow to take advantage. It wasn't until noon that they were able to bring up 6 cannon and get them into position overlooking the Bay of Coruña. The British had almost completed their evacuation by the time the French guns opened fire. In a hurried departure, a few British transports ran aground and 2 were set on fire, but overall, losses were light. A small Spanish garrison held Coruña, waiting until the British fleet had escaped to sea before surrendering.
Hey, thanks to them. Like, do you know what I mean? For holding it and then surrendering.
Yeah.
That's thank you. I hope the people of England will be satisfied. I hope my country will do me justice. The last words of Sir John Moore.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Whether Moore's retreat to Corunna was a British disaster or miraculous escape is still debated. And did he abandon Spain in its hour of need, or draw off Napoleon's main force, buying time for others? Either way, Britain's only army had been saved and would return to fight another day.
To be fair,
while
yeah.
Napoleon...
I think personally, it's not up to debate then. He got the entire army out of there as much as he could.
It is always up for debate, these types of things. But
I
definitely think there is an argument to be said that they did also help by taking Napoleon's forces from the Spanish occupied places where they were being sieged to focus on the British army. And then obviously what played the thing with it is, like, you're saying that it's a good thing, but what also played into that factor was Austro-Hungary then going,
obviously if they wouldn't have, if Austria-Hungary wouldn't have done that move, Napoleon wouldn't have turned round, then they would have just completely obliterated us.
We don't know if they probably would have.
I mean, we were bashed up into a corner. The Navy, we could have got into the port.
Exactly.
The Navy would have been fired.
So that's why I think that's why it's arguable. Just because Austro-Hungary also had a part to play in it as well.
Yeah.
So therefore, he can't just.
He got the troops out of there.
He did. So I would definitely say. I would say it was.
It was a victory in a sort of way.
Well, no, I would say that obviously it was a miraculous escape, but was that escape a victory or was it a loss? That is up for debate. Yeah, but it was a miraculous escape. What he done.
I call it a victory for the escape, just solely for getting the guys out of there, because that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Now faced the prospect of a long war on the Iberian Peninsula and renewed conflict with Austria, a war on two fronts that would challenge his empire like never before. Napoleon had blundered in Spain, but it was years before the scale of his mistake was evident. Then he would say, "I embarked pretty badly on this affair, I admit it. The immorality showed too obviously. The injustice was too cynical. The whole of it remains very ugly."
Okay, at least he understood.
Yeah, at least he understood what he'd done.
Exactly.
And it didn't go to plan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah,
it was interesting to sort of see where obviously, even though he is a magnificent sort of leader, there are mistakes to be made.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see how these mistakes were made and what was done to rectify them.
Exactly.
This Napoleon series, man, this bangs. This bangs.
I'm looking forward to the next episode. What about you?
Definitely, man, definitely.
Perfect. If you guys are looking forward to the next episode, then please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we will catch you in the next one.
In a bit.